WOL 1450 AM with information's power, training with Easy. Hey, Sharice.
Hey, Easy.
Hey, Camille.
Hey.
What's going on?
Hey, Camille, girl.
I'm good.
Camille back in.
Yes.
Wow. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Especially for this show. Today we are going to talk about the Black family. I don't think we've done a show like this before, Sharice.
Nope.
I mean, we've done so many different shows that have been around
the dynamics,
subject,
yeah.
But let's get right into it. It's WOL 1450 AM where information's power, training with Easy. Hey, Sharice.
Hey, Easy.
Hey, Camille.
Hey.
What's going on?
Hey, Camille, girl.
I'm good.
Because we have so much to talk about. In the studio with us is Aiyana, her husband Ayize, and they're both licensed. Aiyana is a licensed clinical social worker, marriage and family therapist, and her husband is a marriage and family therapist as well. And you've been on the show before, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thanks for having us back.
Yep. Also in the studio with us is John. She is a child and family therapist. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, this show it has the capacity to be negative. We could go in a totally negative direction with this show and do probably like 1, 2, or 3 shows about negative aspects, but we're not going to do that. You know, as a people, we have experienced a lot. And I've heard other shows like this, and people have presented nothing but negative statistics and Black families this, and you know, this is going on and this is happening over here, and they don't produce no solutions at all. Well, I just wanted to let you know this show will not be like that at all.
Awesome. We're talking about fixing it.
Exactly.
That's
As a matter of fact, what I would like to challenge us all to do, and we talked about this off the air, I would like for us to be able to present a solution for every problem that we present. Is everyone down with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So let's talk about the good stuff, first of all. Camille, we want to start with you. We've done our research on this, and historically, looking at the African American family, what did you find?
I think that one of the things that we have as a strength for the Black family is definitely being able to endure. Our families have, and we talked about this, you know, a little bit off air as well, but the fact that we have an enduring spirit, I think, as a people, collectively, you know, we are able to bounce back from things. And, you know, I remember growing up in a time where, you know, there were lots of struggles that, you know, my parents talked about having gone through, you know, having come off of, they were in DC, you know, during the time, you know, when the civil rights movement was going on, when, you know, we were in our Black Power phase and trying to really find our identity as a people, as a race, and, you know, coming together as families. I just think that, you know, they were able to come through that. The family unit stayed intact, even, you know, and I just think that that's it, our legacy of endurance. Yeah.
You know, looking, and this is a fact, you know, slavery is part of our African American history.
True.
You know, that's where African American history really begins.
True.
With slavery. I want to ask the Ma'as, from your perspective, you know, how did slavery affect our families?
Oh, wow. That's a really great question, Easy. When it comes to the family, the man, the one who is viewed as the one who is supposed to protect and provide for the household, slavery, it completely tore that structure down. It actually emasculated the man and made the man feel less than, and it actually helped to erect the woman, which is not a bad thing. But when the woman needs somebody she can depend on, somebody who has her back, has somebody who can support her, but yet she doesn't want to turn to him because of fear of the consequences that might come as a result of her speaking up or having him stand up for her, then that's a very real situation that impacts the family as a whole, because the man then enters into a space where he starts to quiet his voice. He starts to shut down. He no longer wants to participate because he's afraid of the repercussions. And the woman doesn't turn to him. And when she's raising those boys, she's teaching those sons not to be as vocal. She's teaching those sons to be more compliant. She's teaching those boys to not necessarily speak up and be protectors, to be providers of the community. And as a result, we end up with families that end up being broken, and there's less productivity occurring in the community. So when it comes to the Black family as a whole being impacted by slavery, definitely been some significant impacts, and I would say that one is the way that the man has been impacted in terms of his role in the black family, providing and protecting for it.
Okay, solution time. Time for the solution, because that story right there has been well written, well documented, and it's a natural fact that we've had some obstacles as men, and we know why that happened. They wouldn't allow us to be the men that we needed to be, and so the woman stepped up. Thank you so much for that piece, Aiyana. In 2014, what can we do about that?
Well, I think one of the things, I'm going to speak from a woman's perspective because I'm a woman. But one of the things that I think that particularly we can do as women to deal with that particular issue is to support our men and help to gently push them to the forefront. Because as my husband talked about, there are patterns that come out of slavery and we don't even realize the patterns are happening. And so if we just be mindful and take a moment to see where are there opportunities for our men to lead. And if we want them to lead and if we want them to be able to have the voice for us, then how are we participating and supporting that? Or are we doing things, just kind of mindlessly to continue to subjugate and push them to the periphery? So a lot of times, for example, in my own family and with my husband, I have a very clear, decisive kind of way of thinking about things. I want things to go down a certain way. But I see the opportunity for my husband to be lifted up and I defer. Automatically, I'm going to figure out what is it that you see that would be appropriate for this situation? How do you think we should go? And so we need to do that not just in our families, we need to do that in the community. Is step aside as women. Step aside so that space can be made. People can't step forward if you're standing there in the way. So I think as women, that's how we can help them.
Wait a minute now. Because some women is not having it. What? I gotta submit? Why do I have to submit?
Yeah,
team submission.
And there is, I was going to say, I from my spiritual background teaches me that is order. But I also, professionally am in an environment where it is very pro-feminist. And I'm not saying that, it's wrong, because I think in some areas, women are equipped to lead and to do different things. I'm definitely not belittling that in any way because I support it. But at the same time, I think that there has to be a shared experience of leadership in many ways, not necessarily putting one down to put another up. I think that we need to learn how to walk hand in hand and I think defer to each other in love. So there are times when the woman may need to step back and let her man shine. But I also think that there are times when a man should be willing to also say, hey, babe, what do you think about this? And allow her to have a voice as well. And I think when we do that, we come together in a more collaborative way. I think that it leads to a building up of both parties.
Right.
And the family
So what she's basically saying is submission goes both ways.
Yes, that's it.
However, though, I gotta give it to you though, because we've seen the opposite. We've seen the black man being disrespected and talked about and pushed aside and pushed back. So we have to be aware, that the pushing of each of us, it has to happen. The man needs to hold this woman up. The woman needs to hold this man up. And we have to say that. Because if we don't say it, then it won't be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Well, let me just say, this black family discussion, I feel like we need some macaroni and cheese and some greens. Like, we supposed to be eating dinner while we do this.
We can't have that in the studio.
So, John, I have a question for you. You do child and family therapy, so I know you see a lot of children who are products of broken homes and, coming out of really bad situations. How do we promote family to children who come from broken homes and they don't have an example of what a positive functioning family should look like?
That's a good question. That saying, it takes a village to raise a child. I 100% believe that because, when you do have a family who is broken and they may not have a mom or a dad, or they are able to witness a healthy family unit, that's when mentors come into play. That's when other family members and friends, I come from a broken home, and I remember staying at my friend's house who had both mom and dad, and I was able to witness that family unit, and I absolutely loved being around that family because I was able to see that healthy family unit, even though it wasn't presented in front of me growing up. And being in the community, active member in the community. There's a lot of resources out here and churches and things like that where you can see healthy family units. The church that I go to, the pastor and his wife, I actually lived with them for about 6 months because I am a Katrina survivor, and I, live with them.
In the building?
Yes. And, I lived with them for 6 months, and I was able to see a healthy family unit. And, the authenticity, the genuineness, and the familyness is like, you know what, that's what I want. Because I grew up as a child saying I want to be a single mother. Because I saw my mom being a single mother of 3, and I was like, I don't want to be married. I want to be a single mother. And seeing this family unit and being connected with this family definitely changed that perspective. So I think if we have that sense of it takes a village to raise a family, and more families who are healthy units are more involved in seeing, these families that are broken and being more involved and willing to be a mentor and invite these kids over and just being a part of their lives. I really do believe that that's what could help these children not miss out so much on that.
Mm-hmm. It's break time. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, I want to chime in on something that you just said, because it's very obvious that the definition of family has changed.
100%.
We traditionally think family is mom, dad, children, dog, but that has changed. We're talking. I think we really need to talk about that, and we'll do that in 4 minutes. On WOL 1450 AM, where information is power.
News Talk 1450 WOL AM, where information is power.
Hi. The service experts at your Ford dealer know you'll likely be hitting the road this summer. So get the works. It's a synthetic blend oil change, tire rotation, brake inspection, and more, designed to keep your Ford running right.
Click this ad and get the works for $39.95 or less minus a $10 mail-in rebate, making it just $29.95. Only at your Ford dealer. Up to 5 quarts oil, taxes, diesel, and disposal fees extra. Rebate by prepaid debit card. See participating Ford dealer for rebate details through 8/31/14.
Now is the season to be thinking about your roof, because all it takes is one storm to turn a small roof problem into a major leak. If it's time for a new roof, call Sears at 1-800-746-5120. You can save $500 if you call right now. Sears licensed, fully insured contractors can get your roofing job done right. Just call 1-800-746-5120. Sears has a variety of shingles and styles that are built for long-lasting performance, and you'll save $500 if you call now. So call Sears for a free in-home consultation. 1-800-746-5120. Hurry, offer ends soon. Not available in all states. Installation provided by Sears authorized licensed contractors. License information available upon request. That's Sears Roofing. Call right now and save $500. Call 1-800-746-5120. 1-800-746-5120. Sears.
Okay, Miss Smith, you're checked in for your flight. Let's talk bag fees. You can choose 1 carry-on plus 1 personal item, or 1 checked bag and 2 personal items, or 1 under-the-seat only carry-on personal item.
Some business travel options can be confusing and costly, but not Wingate by Wyndham. You get great options you want, like Wi-Fi, hot breakfast, and more at no extra cost. Save 15% and earn bonus points when you book at wingatehotels.com. Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details.
Online radio listeners, we need your input. Help us to keep internet radio free and its advertising relevant to you. Simply open your radio player and click on the survey banner now and take a quick questionnaire on the advertising you hear on your favorite online radio stations. It only takes about 1 minute to complete and submit your opinions. Your answers will help tell us about the advertising you've heard recently on this radio station. So make your voice heard. Open your radio player and click on the survey banner to participate now. Thank you for listening to this station and for your participation.
Dish Network is now offering more reasons than ever to switch to Dish. You get more options, more value, and more channels with the best picture available anywhere. And now you get more for less with the best deal Dish has ever offered. With packages starting at just $19.99 per month, call now for free next-day installation in many areas and free HD for 2 years. Call now and get HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, and Stars free for 3 months.
Call today because for a limited time, when you subscribe to Dish, you'll also get a free upgrade to the most advanced HD DVR on the market, the Hopper, allowing you to record up to 2,000 hours of programming on 6 different channels at once. Call 888-210-8855 today and take advantage of the best deal Dish has ever offered. Call 888-210-8855. That's 888-210-8855. More ways to watch, more ways to save, and it's only from Dish. Call 888-210-8855 today.
News Talk 1450 WOL AM, where information is power.
Your thoughts, feelings, your opinions matter. Now back to Trending with Easy.
It's WOL 1450 AM, where information is power. Easy Street, Trending with Easy. Sharice.
Yo.
Camille.
Yeah.
And my aunts are here, and also John. It's all about the black family, celebrating us, talking about our triumphs, some of our challenges, our problems, and solutions. Before the break, we were talking about the definition of the family being changed. It's no longer mom, dad, children, and dog. And I think that by us recognizing the fact that these things have changed, creates the opportunity for us in our minds to realize that we can still have family.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have people that I'm not related to, but I consider them my family.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a brief story. 3 of us go to church together. My mother told me one time, I was like, Mom, I would see people from Union Temple out in public, and we would embrace, and we would hug each other. And and I would get this feeling, I would get this emotion. I would get the same kind of feeling that I would get as if I was sitting in church. And she was like, well, do you know why? I said, no. She said, because that's your family too. I was like,
Wow.
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful.
So there are all different kinds of families. My aunts, can you talk about that?
Yeah, what you're speaking to, Easy, is really the spirit of connection. And I think that is, was definitely pervasive in families who are intentional about really being in connection and in relationship with each other. You do have so many different types of families and so many different types of households, from your quote-unquote traditional household to your multi-generational household. And I think that in those households, there is the great opportunity for those relationships to be fomented, for those relationships to really be solidified. But I think that it takes intentional work for us to actually get to the point to where we're able to connect. And the way we do that is by consistently and consciously communicating with each other from an empathic space, understanding that what we're going through in our everyday lives is something that needs to be discussed, shared, explored, dived into, and as a result of that, it opens the doorway for more vulnerability and more connection to occur within the home.
Mm-hmm. Because I think what happens is some people feel like, well, if we don't have the mom there or the dad there or the children there, that we don't have family.
Right.
No.
It's different.
You can still have family without children.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So I just think that, we have to say that, and people have to understand that, because I have a friend, I'm not going to say any names, and we were just having this discussion. Well, I don't have any children, so I feel like I don't have family. I was like, no, you can still have family, but maybe it's not time for you to have a child yet. Mm-hmm. God hasn't blessed you with the, opportunity to be able to have that type of family yet. Mm-hmm. But you can still have family without having a child.
And you can get family replaced too. Sorry, Camille, but like you were saying about church, I know there are a lot of, my grandmother passed away maybe 5 years ago, and there are a lot of older women church mothers who gravitate towards me and me towards them. And I know I'll never have that relationship with my grandmother again, but I have older senior women in my life who I know love me like my grandmother did.
Yeah, I was actually going to chime in with that, and how I grew up in what people would consider to be a traditional family. My mother and father were both there, but there were also other issues in the home, issues that I saw, in their relationship that made me initially be a little disconnected from emotion. And, people who know me now would never believe that, because I am a very affectionate person, but I wasn't always this way. And one of the things that broke that in me was going to a church where there was an older man, and we used to call him Pop. And every time I came to church, Pop would find me and hug me. It got to the point I would say to my sister when I saw him coming, I'm going to the car. Like, it was excessive, you know. He had the purest intentions, but I was uncomfortable showing that level of emotion. But God used him, I think, to break that in me, because he would not give up. It was almost like he saw that, and he would hug me, and he'd be like, "How you doing?" I mean, it would just keep his arm there, and I'd be like, "If he just get off of me," it was just like And then, one day it just broke in me, and now I am like that toward other people. I learned to receive that love from somebody who was external, because my family is not a family of huggers. I am though now. So it's that connection can come from anywhere, like you said.
Yeah, and it's funny that you said I had the exact same experience. I think it's all about the perspective, because again, people do get hung up. I have so many single girlfriends who are like, no, we are not a family because I need my man in my life so we can be a whole family, but yet they put themselves in these unhealthy environments for these children because they are so hung up on this mom and dad and child and dog perspective. And it's all about your reception. I've had mommy issues for quite some time. We're working on it now. But when I moved out here, the family that took me in Hurricane Katrina, she was the same way. I'm like, if my own mom wouldn't do this for me, why in the world is this lady, doing any and everything for me, providing for me? And she showed me the love that I longed for out of a mother. And then it wasn't until I finally accepted it. And I 100% believe that it was God that put her in my life to fill that void that I didn't receive from my mother growing up. So yes, it's all about perspective and your willingness to accept.
Okay, hold on, everybody, relax. You're gonna talk next because she got something on her mind. She wants to say, I'm just looking at her. I'm looking at Aiyana's eyes. She's like,
so I really want us to really take in this point, because everybody's talking about how important connection is, and really this whole concept of extending our family and who we think of our family to be. And this is so profound to me. Right now in the District of Columbia, they're really focusing highly at the Department of Behavioral Health, which was formerly known as the Department of Mental Health, on providing services to youth and families through a model called Wraparound. And I work with an organization called Choices. And what we do is we actually bring families together every month. Once a month, there's a child and family team meeting. And one of the number one goals that the Department of Behavioral Health, and this has been established all across the country in different markets, one of the number one goals that we have with the family is to figure out who the natural supports are. And there are all kinds of people sitting around the table. There's a social worker. There may be a foster care person. There may be a probation officer, because people are having problems who come to the table. But the number one goal is, how do we push ourselves out and build natural supports around the family? And natural supports are nothing but the man down at the rec who you connect with every time you go, who keeps looking out for you, your pastor, the guy at the corner store who always makes sure that he sees you past the door on your way home from school. It's the folks who are around you, as we're describing, who actually reach out and connect, so that when those persons are in place and now also coming to those meetings and to the team, now the professionals can move out, because now you've got your family. And I think it's a beautiful thing, and it's a huge statement, and we really can't underestimate the impact of being connected to other people. Relationships rule the world, and it doesn't have to be the folks you grew up with. It's who you're growing to be. And people are recognizing that on every level. So I just wanted to say that piece.
I'm so glad that we're saying this, because it's real. There are people walking around right now feeling incomplete and feeling like there's these voids. I mean, like they're walking around like, kind of like with low self-esteem. Their esteem is low because of they don't have these things, and it's amazing. But I'm glad that we're having this discussion and talking about these things, getting these things out in the open, so people can be healed and learn how to move forward and be healthy individuals. In the studio with Aiyana, Ayize. Both of them, they have a website called blackloveandmarriage.com, and they've been working as social workers and marriage and family therapists, and also John, who's a child and family therapist. We'll come back in 4 minutes. We have more to talk about. It's all about the black family, right? On WOL 1450 AM, where information is power.
News Talk 1450 WOL AM, where information is power.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Jason Ray noticed a blue birthmark had appeared on his forehead in the shape of the Geico gecko. Jason felt compelled to switch his car insurance to Geico and save hundreds of dollars with great discounts. By nightfall, the birthmark had disappeared. Jason's wife, Janie, thinks it was probably just blueberry jam from breakfast. Jason prefers to believe otherwise.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
If you've got 15 seconds, Geico could help you be a better driver.
Please, don't text and drive. The average amount of time that you'll be distracted from the road while texting is about 5 seconds. In a vehicle traveling 55, you'll drive the length of a football field without seeing where you're going. You might as well be driving blindfolded. When the engine starts, the texting stops.
Manage your policy, get roadside assistance, and more. Just a tap away on Geico's free mobile app.
Trying to sell your old car? Instead, donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind. Pickup is free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-943-1356. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and buses, whether they run or not. Call right now and receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to over 50 locations. Call 1-800-943-1356. Donate your car today. That's 1-800-943-1356.
Online radio listeners, we need your input. Help us to keep internet radio free and its advertising relevant to you. Simply open your radio player and click on the survey banner now and take a quick questionnaire on the advertising you hear on your favorite online radio stations. It only takes about 1 minute to complete and submit your opinions. Your answers will help tell us about the advertising you've heard recently on this radio station. So make your voice heard. Open your radio player and click on the survey banner to participate now. Thank you for listening to this station and for your participation.
Do you have unfiled tax returns or owe the IRS or state more than $10,000? If you don't take action now, your tax problem is going to get worse, much worse. Seizure of property, bank levies, wage garnishments, and potential criminal prosecution. And if you owe the IRS back payroll taxes, chances are you will be visited at your home or business by an IRS agent. Don't become paralyzed by fear. Take action now. Call the experts at U.S. Tax Shield for help. Our team of experienced tax attorneys can get you protected, stop collections, and negotiate a permanent settlement with the IRS and state, potentially saving you thousands of dollars. At U.S. Tax Shield, our tax advisors will review your case for free, inform you of your rights, and give you a guaranteed quote. No games and no tricky upsells. That's why we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and thousands of satisfied clients. Put an end to your torment. Get protected. Get the Shield. Call U.S. Tax Shield now at 800-656-9393. That's 800-656-9393. 800-656-9393.
The service experts at your Ford dealer know you'll likely be hitting the road this summer. So get the works. It's a synthetic blend oil change, tire rotation, brake inspection, and more, designed to keep your Ford running right.
Click this ad and get the works for $39.95 or less minus a $10 mail-in rebate, making it just $29.95. Only at your Ford dealer. Up to 5 quarts oil, taxes, diesel, and disposal fees extra. Rebate by prepaid debit card. See participating Ford dealer for rebate details through 8/31/14.
Dish Network is now offering more reasons than ever to switch to Dish. With Dish, you get the sharpest picture available anywhere, and now you get more for less with the best deal Dish has ever offered. Packages start at just $19.99 per month with free next-day installation in many areas, plus 2 years of free HD. Call now and get HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, and Stars free for 3 months. Call 888-210-8855 for the best deal Dish has to offer. Call 888-210-8855. That's 888-210-8855.
News Talk 1450 WOL AM, where information is power.
Your thoughts, feelings, your opinions matter. Now back to Trending with Ayize.
WOL 1450 AM, where information is power. Easy Street, all-star cast today. We call this Trending with Ayize, and we're talking about the Black family. Camille has a question or a comment or a statement. I think we're going to deal with challenges now, right?
Yes, we are. So I'm going to pose this to the Mott.
Mott.
You got to all right. Okay. I'm getting hooked on phonics.
Your shoulders on the like
You know, okay. I'm not even gonna touch you. You know who you talking to.
Okay, let me get to my question. Okay, so talking about challenges, I'm wondering, because you do this work with families and dealing with sort of the marriage structure, the family structure, what do you see as the foremost challenge that the Black family is facing today?
Good question.
I will say this. One of the biggest things I think that the Black family is facing is unresolved trauma. There is trauma happening. First of all, us as Black folks, we have a history of trauma, right? And we don't have to go down there. We know what that is. But I see it so much that it has become normalized, and folks don't even realize they're living in trauma. And I'm talking about things like sexual abuse. I'm talking about things like alcoholism, significant areas where folks are living every day, and they can't access food, they can't access services, and so they're living their lives in a way. Again, we have the beautiful history of resilience where we kind of just make do and we keep it moving, but we don't realize that it's not normal, and this is not, of course, everyone, but it's not normal to have these things happening in our family. These we talked about this offline, these secrets and these different things that are happening, and no one's talking about it because in our families, we are not, we're one of the folks that say, we can't put everything out on the table for everybody to see. We're not airing all of our dirty laundry. And I'm definitely not going to go anywhere and talk about anything where you're going to put the word perhaps mental in front of it, mental health issue and that kind of thing. And so I try to kind of divorce that word and say, look, we all got issues. I got issues. You got issues. We all got issues. And if I grew up and knew that my sister was being abused every day for 12 years, for example, and I had to live there, nothing happened to me, I was traumatized as well. Even though I wasn't, dealing with it firsthand. So I think there's a lot of that going on. I'm telling you, you talk to a person of color, of African American, and ask them, do you know of someone who's experienced some type of sexual abuse, physical abuse, domestic violence, any of that kind of thing? Even folks who are spanking and disciplining children but are going too far and don't recognize and understand the difference between healthy discipline and unhealthy discipline. They're going to be able to speak to you, know what you're talking about. And that is a dynamic in our community that I think doesn't get enough attention because there's a lot of shame that gets attached to it. So we can't be free from it. We don't want to talk about it because we're too ashamed about it.
Mr. Mott, solutions.
Yeah, the solution to that, I always like to say that one of the best ways that we can help to repair the family, the destruction, the chaos that might exist in the Black community, especially in the Black family, is to really focus on the two people who are at the head of the Black family. I say that for Black men, especially Black men out there, the most revolutionary thing that you can do is to love your Black woman. It's to love your Black woman.
The reason why me and Camille like preach. You got to say that again for the people that didn't hear it.
The most revolutionary thing that you can do is to love your Black woman. And the reason why I say that, the reason why I say that is because, the children, they're paying attention to what's going on at the head of the household. Yeah. So they're paying attention to what the husband does, what the wife does, and they're looking to see what the example should be when it comes to being in a healthy relationship. So when I look at my relationship with my wife, I see my daughters looking at me when I bring dozen roses to my wife every single week. They're watching me.
Every week, y'all.
They're watching my behavior. I see my sons looking at me when I'm holding my wife's hand. So they're paying attention. And so that's why I say it's the most revolutionary thing you can do, because the children are definitely watching and they're learning by example.
Tell us when the class is. You got to tell the people that's listening when is the class so they can come and learn more.
Listen. We got something coming up soon. Okay. We don't have a date yet, but can I just add on to this? He talked about loving the woman, right? But you heal a parent, you heal the child. Yes. And so I think, again, just to echo his point, when the adults pay attention to what they're doing, the children automatically benefit. You can't, it's like this frustration of teachers in the school. I'm doing all this work, but then they got to go home, right? So you got to, and then they got to come back. So you got to heal the parents. You got to heal the adults, and that means that the adults have to be intentional about knowing what their issues are, finding out, connecting. There are all kinds of support groups around the city. There are all kinds of resources in DC. DC is resourceful. Okay, there's so many
excuses.
No excuses. It really is. We got a lot of stuff here in the city to help folks in the DMV. So we got to look at ourselves.
You know what? We should put some of those websites out there for people to find the help, because that's one thing. And I'm glad that you mentioned that the resources available in this city for all these different issues that we deal with. Incredible. I mean, you can go to other cities that don't have monies and organizations that deal with domestic violence or fatherhood issues or free HIV and AIDS type of counseling and stuff like that. So yeah, DC has it going on, and we'll give you websites at the end of the show. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is for John. You, as a child psychologist, what have you seen as one of the most prevalent impacts on children in terms of the family? Are you seeing, we put these different structures in place to try to help our children. Sometimes the teachers step in and mentors step in, but do you still see an impact if it's not the parents? Sort of what... how does that work in terms of being a support to them and minimizing the impact of any challenges on the family?
Well, just in my experience with working with children, especially as we evolve, the way that the system used to work has evolved as well. We have this new, I don't know if you guys have heard of this IEPs, Individual Education Plans.
Yeah, my sister's an educator. Yeah.
Right. So, again, that's something that's very new. 504 plans, definitely something new. One thing that I do notice that is kind of hurting the children is people are not meeting these kids where they are. And, again, that's hence why individual education plans meet that child where they are, but it takes a lot for a child to have an IEP.
So when you say meeting children where they are, just to sort of expound on that, what do you mean?
Meaning, instead of going based off of how you were raised as a child, you are meeting your child where they are. If your child is, because again, a lot of times people are like, well, this isn't normal. This isn't normal. I absolutely hate that word normal, because what is really normal? We have to meet our children where they are. You have to know what their lives, get to know them. And again, I feel like we have a lot of parents who are so busy and they put these certain structures in place because it worked for them, not realizing you are dealing with a totally different entity.
So the new normal kind of is what we do. In terms of talking about the Black family right now, we talked about earlier that the structure is, there is no one right structure anymore. Right. I mean, we don't see, it's, I'm not going to say it's not one right structure, but it's not one structure.
Right.
It's very different from person to person, household to household. So you're saying that there's a new normal now, and that's being able to just meet people.
Meet them where they are. And again, I know that takes time, and that's why I'm a huge component of it takes a village to raise a child. Because, I was raised with my brother and my sister, and we all are different.
How can we meet them where they are, though?
Get to know them. Spend time with them. Talk to them. Let's sit at the table and eat together and talk to them.
Put your phone down.
Exactly.
That's my stuff. The Xbox, that 360, that PSA game you be playing.
Yeah. You talk to the parents?
Oh yeah.
Both. The child and the parent.
I'm glad that you brought that up. Because it made me think about what you just said. It made me think about the book, The 5 Languages of Love, by Dr. Gary Chapman.
Yes.
And in the book, for people that did not read it or not aware of it, he talks about you finding out exactly what your mate feels. You're finding out what it is that your mate needs to feel loved.
Right.
Why can't we do that with our children? As a matter of fact, he does have a series of books for children as well, and I use that methodology, and that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
You're talking about meeting the children where they are, finding out what it is that makes them feel loved, and giving it to them.
Right.
It's very simple.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's really getting to the unmet need, and it really requires us to enter into that relationship space from an energy with an energy of empathy. Really trying to understand exactly what's going on with the child. There's been a number of children that I've sat across, and really it's difficult in the sense that you do want to project your experience onto the child, but you have to. It's critical that you understand that they're coming from their own unique space, and that they're coming from their own reality, and there's value in their reality. So to superimpose your experience on them is doing them a disservice. They can add something unto you if you just sit, listen, respect, and attempt to understand and be empathic with what it is that they're what's going on in their life. And in doing so, you get a better understanding of what not just that child needs, but the family needs as a whole too.
It's break time, but it just makes me think about this one saying that we always have said to our children, and I think as parents, we need to also look at this thing too. We tell our kids, You learn with your ears and not with your mouth. Well, the same thing applies to us as parents when it comes to our kids as well. We'll be back in 4 minutes on WOL 1450 AM, where information is power.
News Talk 1450 WOL AM, where information is power.
Listen up, everybody. This is Flo with a Progressive Insurance Alert. Don't even try to change that channel. I'm on all of them. So, you already know Snapshot rewards our customers for their good driving. Well, now anyone can test drive Snapshot for free, even if you have insurance with another company. See how much you could save before you switch your insurance. Also, I'm offering kazoo lessons on Saturdays.
Test drive Snapshot today. Visit progressive.com/snapshot. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in all states.
Hey, DJ, you're playing my song, but then you have to play his and hers and the entire parties. Sure, the songs are changing, but your hands keep doing the same old dance. Time for a break. Make some noise for the new Bacon Clubhouse from McDonald's. 100% beef, classic Big Mac sauce, all on a warm artisan roll. But this hit isn't for sharing, so no requests. A break this hype deserves both hands. The Bacon Clubhouse, a new breakthrough in break time. At participating McDonald's. Okay, Miss Smith, you're checked in for your flight. Let's talk bag fees. You can choose one carry-on plus one personal item, or one checked bag and two personal items, or one under-the-seat only carry-on personal item.
Some business travel options can be confusing and costly, but not Wingate by Window. You get great options you want, like Wi-Fi, hot breakfast, and more at no extra cost. Save 15% and earn bonus points when you book at wingatehotels.com. Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details.
Rates, policy forms, and availability vary by state. Did you know that life insurance rates are near record lows? If you own life insurance or are thinking of buying any, why spend more than you have to? Since 1986, AccuQuote has helped literally millions of people just like you save a fortune on their life insurance. Here's how they do it. They monitor the products offered by dozens of the most well-respected brand name life insurance companies you trust so that you get the lowest rates. For example, a healthy 40-year-old can buy $500,000 of 10-year level term for less than $20 a month. 20 and 30-year rates are also available. And don't forget to ask them about the new term life plans that guarantee your money back even if you outlive your policy. Take 5 minutes and call AccuQuote for your free quote. Call 1-800-654-2075. Find out how much you can save on your life insurance. Call AccuQuote today. 1-800-654-2075. That's 1-800-654-2075.
Online radio listeners, we need your input. Help us to keep internet radio free and its advertising relevant to you. Simply open your radio player and click on the survey banner now and take a quick questionnaire on the advertising you hear on your favorite online radio stations. It only takes about 1 minute to complete and submit your opinions. Your answers will help tell us about the advertising you've heard recently on this radio station. So make your voice heard. Open your radio player and click on the survey banner to participate now. Thank you for listening to this station and for your participation.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
For free inventors information, call 1-800-497-9975. 1-800-497-9975. That's 1-800-497-9975.
U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
News Talk 1450 WOL AM, where information is power.
Your thoughts, feelings, your opinions matter. Now back to trending with Easy.
All right, it's WOL 1450 AM, where information is power. Easy Street, trending with Easy. And in the studio with us today is Aiyana and her husband, Ayize, my aunt, licensed clinical social worker, marriage and family therapist. Both of them are. Their website is blackloveandmarriage.com. That's blackloveandmarriage.com. Also in the studio is John. She's a child and family therapist.
Okay, so I wanted to ask the question to Aiyana. You had kind of led into it a little bit earlier when you were talking about some of the trauma and things like that the Black family has faced. So I wanted to ask you from a therapeutic perspective, like how do you encourage people to move forward after they've been emotionally scarred or after they've had this trauma and they want to get to the point of mending relationships or trying to overcome some of the hurt that they've endured? How do you encourage them to do that?
Well, I think that's a great question. And the number one thing I always tell folks is that they are at the head of their own process. And I think a lot of times people feel if they're wanting to start to explore some trauma that has happened in the past, or they're wanting to start doing some new things and taking some new risks in their lives, that they're going to be rushed back into some old memories or old feelings or be overwhelmed and just, totally feel vulnerable, like they're going to fall to pieces. And if you remember that you're at the head of your own process, then that means that you don't have to go anywhere you don't want to go emotionally. You can take time to ground yourself. I really encourage people to get into therapy so that they can, when you're doing trauma work, you're not even getting into what happened, and you never have to go back over what had happened, right? All you have to do is get grounded and figure out, how is it that I'm showing up for myself? How did I show up for myself along the way? How do I ground myself and make sure that I feel safe and that I feel empowered? And whether or not you want to get back into doing work where you explore everything is totally up to the person. So they can be in control. When you feel like you're in control of your process, then you feel safer to do so. And I think people have to focus on making sure that they create their own safety.
Yeah, I work with, that's one of the specialties that I do with kids and families is trauma. And, I have to just piggyback on her. People have this mindset of what therapy is supposed to be based off of movies and televisions. And I've had a couple of clients that was like, this doesn't feel like therapy. I'm not sitting across the couch. I'm not talking about this and I'm not talking about that. But, I tell my clients, we're going to talk about what you want to talk about because this is your session. And there are types of therapy where you don't even have to go into the past. Again, like she said. So, I was 100% vouch for therapeutic services. And if you don't feel comfortable with that therapist, you let them know. Because as a therapist, and I'm sure that they can also contest to this, if there's something that I'm doing that makes you feel uncomfortable, please let me know and communicate. Because again, I'm trying to get into your world to see how to work with you and what will work for you. So, and one thing I will have to commend, a lot of these reality TV shows that are popular amongst young Americans, they are going to therapy. And that's one thing that I love seeing and seeing some results in it. So that's one thing that I wanted to put that out there, that they are promoting going to therapy when you have issues.
Shout out to Aiyana, baby.
Yeah, shout out. Please fix my life. And I'm trying to get on that show. How long do I gotta wait?
Right. Yeah. But you make a really interesting point because the work environment that I work in is not let's just say I'm a minority, in this environment, and I hear people talk about therapy all the time, and it is generally accepted among other races, particularly the Caucasian race. It's just something that people do. I got a problem, I'm going to therapy. But within the Black community,
stigma,
right. There is a lot of stigma around it. So I too like the fact that people are finally realizing that it's okay to say I need help, and it's okay to seek help.
In the context of what we're talking about for the Black family, I would like to ask all of you guys here this question: what do you do when you're down for therapy? You're down for it, but the rest of your family or your mate, they don't want to do it. I'm not crazy.
I ain't going to no therapy.
People all our history and all our story. It is what it is. How do we navigate that situation?
I think it's really all based off of the introduction to therapy itself. So, when you're speaking to whomever it is that is really interested in the process, what I would do in a lot of situations where I work with families, I ask to speak with the children as well. So I ask to speak with the children and explain to them that it's not an intrusive process to the degree to where you'll be bucking or resisting and not really wanting to participate. It's really more of an exploratory process where, you'll be sharing some stuff about me, but I'm trying to help you get your needs met. So I lift up to them that it's about me helping them to get their needs met in the family. And it's not just about you doing what mom says, doing what dad says, but it's about the family working together as a whole. So I think when you take a different approach and explaining it to them, the children are a little bit more receptive to the process if they know that they can get their needs met too.
And if I can just add to that, don't allow a family member or a spouse or whomever to hold you back from the process. We see this all the time where one person just begins the process of doing their work. And then, and you can plan that with someone who is, in the field. I'm going to come and I'm going to start the work. And then when you start the work, you're going to start showing up differently in your relationships. And then folks will be impacted and say, well, maybe come on over and see what y'all talking about. And they come on. So don't just say, I'm waiting. I see that all the time. I'm waiting. He still say he ain't going to do it. Just start the work, because if you start the work and you're serious about it, then you're going to be different, and that's going to win them over to come join you.
So I have to ask this, since we're talking about reality TV, families, and especially the black family, and these interventions.
There's even a show called Intervention, the drug one.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. I mean, how do you facilitate something like that? Say I got an issue. I mean, if you're trying to have it, an intervention. I'm trying to have an intervention with my 19-year-old because, she won't clean her room, how, as a parent, or I'm having an issue because you want to stay out late at night and, you're coming in late, or maybe it's a thing where you're doing something in the house that affects, you're not locking up the house. Maybe you're not setting the alarm, or you left the back door open, or you do something that affects everyone in the home. Like, how do we bring that? How do we... Do we need therapy for that?
But it's like, I think it's about communication.
I got issues. I told you I'm trying to get my life fixed.
Well, I think one of the problems, and then we could talk about the solution for it, like in black families, is
we only got 3 minutes though.
The lack of communication. Like, give us some tools for how do we communicate? Because to me, that's a communication issue. It doesn't necessarily require Aiyana to come through and get your 19-year-old to clean her room or close the door. So for the Mayats and for Jean, like, how do we communicate effectively so we get our message across?
Yeah, the simple issues that you brought up. Sometimes, and this is my belief, we all have different theories, but my belief is sometimes those are just symptoms of a deeper issue that is really going on, and one of the things that I've seen from the families that I've worked with are the ones who put everything on the table with the communication, being honest, and even being willing to accept that person's honesty. And one of the things I let my families know, you cannot dictate how someone feels. If someone says that you hurt my feelings or my feelings get hurt when you leave that door unlocked, being able to accept it and put it on the table. So I think that's when it comes to communication, be willing and open to accept the truth, because it does hurt, but at the same time being willing to heal it, because a lot of times we have a lot more deeper issues than those surface level things like keeping the door unlocked. So
and see what John is speaking about, she's really speaking about too, creating a safe space. And I think that youth, when they feel like it's okay for me to speak up and say something, when it's okay for me to really share what's on my mind, then I feel more comfortable and I'm more willing to do it, because I know I'm not going to be judged in that process. So I think that as adults, we need to create that safe space for our children and let them know it's all good. It's really all good if you just share with me what's going on, because I want to get to know you better, and I want to get to know your experience and what you're going through just a little bit better too. So creating that safe space is critical to being able to bridge that communication gap between parents and children.
Before we get these websites out for the social help that we talked about, one of the things as we close, I was just thinking about that there was an overarching theme of what all of you had to say was the fact that there had to be communication. Talking, sharing, caring, listening, and then that's how you connect. You can't connect unless you're communicating. There is no connection. How can you communicate if you ain't talking about it? Exactly. So with that being said, Sharice, you have some websites for us.
Yeah, well, I actually have one website that's going to direct people to a list of, and it's familymattersdc.org. When you go there and you click About Us, it gives you a whole list of websites and resources for various issues that are related to families. And it's called familymattersdc.org.
Also, the dc.gov website, if you click on that and go to social services, everything pops up. Everything. And give your website.
blackloveandmarriage.com.
Okay.
And I have this program that I volunteer at with kids. It's called Leaders Institute. It's actually, the website is actually leadersinstitutemd.com, and it's training young people to be leaders. I mean, entrepreneurship, leadership skills, careers. It's just a great program that's in the Maryland, D.C. area. So I just wanted to put that out there because I do some volunteer work with them.
Okay. John, Aiyana, Ayize, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's our show for today. I hope you learned something. All right. That is Trending with Easy on WOL 1450 AM, where information is power. You have been
informed.
See you next week.
Peace.
1450 WOL, Washington, D.C. and WPRS HD2 Waldorf, Washington. A Radio 1 station and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.